I really want to get down to the bottom of it for myself. I want to know, what I saw as a kid. Were those government craft or were they truly ET craft? And of course, over the last 5 years now, some of the stuff we've seen and experienced is much more advanced than I believe what any of our governments might have. I film a lot of stuff with all the equipment that I have, but 90% of it is explainable. And it's only with this high-powered equipment that you can get to that point, because when you see different things in the sky, a lot of people will automatically say, oh, there's a UFO. It's not quite that easy. Most of the stuff that people see and are reporting as UFOs are not UFOs. They're explainable. I really want to get down to the bottom of it for myself. I want to know, what I saw as a kid. Were those government craft or were they truly ET craft? And of course, over the last 5 years now, some of the stuff we've seen and experienced is much more advanced than I believe what any of our governments might have. It's interesting to investigate old sightings and get information, but you will find a lot of the material that's out there is just recycled over and over and over and over again ad nauseum. And many people say, well, what about now? Is it possible to make contact now? We've heard about all these past events over and over and over again. What about now? What we want to do in our Making Contact project is to make contact now and ongoing in the future. And to, receive messages from these beings. What do they want us to do? What kind of message would you like us to share with our fellow human beings? Our world's not going in a good way. And many of the messages that come through these beings are very similar. It's like, human beings are kind of on a bit of a path of destruction. We're kind of looking for people who are into this whole consciousness thing, who are into meditation, who seem to be able to, relax themselves and make a connection, to encourage contact. You're not going to get contact every time, and it's not going to always be in the way you want. But we're working towards getting closer and closer and closer. We have been consulting with many different experts. We do not pretend to believe that we know everything. We go in with the idea that we know nothing. We try to keep a fully open mind, and we try to hook up with the experts, with the scientists, whether they're formally trained as a scientist, whether they're a scientist through School of Hard Knocks. We try to search these people out. Many of these people are, how would I put it, they're referred to us through people that we know already and hook us up with them because of what we're doing. People like Erling Strand from Norway, he's within the Heston Lights Project. People like Sixto Paswell's out of Lima, Peru, who does the automatic writing and who makes contact. We've met with other scientists like Dr. Irjaro Santilli, and the whole idea is to learn from them. What we have found is there's a certain phenomenon. Each individual person has their own view. They sometimes can be a little bit polarized and believe a certain way. And at the very beginning, we got stuck and polarized also with them. And then we found that their way was not the right way. We basically said to ourselves, we'll never do this again. We'll never get aligned with any one group. What we want to do is go like a smorgasbord and pick what we believe to be correct out of each group or with each person. So we're sampling the wares, and we're believing, and we feel we are kind of being led all the way through this. We're getting different information from each group or each scientist or person, because a lot of times they're very specialized in the little area that they're working in, and that's their whole world. And so they can't necessarily see things beyond that. Because we've traveled around the world, we're sampling each one, and it's fantastic. It's funny to go to other cultures and find it's totally different than the United States and Canada. In the United States and Canada, they're so anal about it. They're keeping it top secret, and you've really got to pry with a crowbar to get information. In these other countries, especially like Peru, they're totally open. So we do get involved with the culture. We do learn. We, sometimes spend 2-3 weeks there. And we go with an open mind, and we learn everything there is to learn, even including some of these ancient archaeological sites where a lot of times things will show up. There seems to be a real significance to some of these ancient archaeological sites and ETs. Favorite part about traveling is learning. We live where we live, for example, and we get set in our ways, and we get set in the way things are, and we think that is the whole world. It's not. There's so much more out there. For me, it's fascinating to see all the other cultures and the way they do things, what they believe, the way they operate. When you travel, one, there's something exciting about that. You're open-minded. You're open to new experiences. You're excited. So you're purposely opening your mind. I find that when you're in your day-to-day in your home place, our mind isn't as open as maybe we would like it to be. When you travel, especially if you've gone on a long distance, you're totally open and ready for anything and everything that might happen. And I think that's part of why we're successful when we travel.
Absolutely amazing. I'll never forget that. Never.
Usually, when we go on an expedition, we have at least a couple people that we're going to hook up with. And we'll get invited to a hotspot. So we arrive, we get accustomed to the area, we'll meet the people, we will then go out to their favorite place and skywatch. And I'll set up all my equipment. We'll typically do a meditation. And sometimes you see pretty crazy things and sometimes you don't. And that's the typical evening. So there's this whole category of, typically they call it high strangeness. We call it cool high strangeness. There's no reason to be afraid of it. I just know that it's almost like there's a little bit of a trickster element here in this phenomenon. And we've had all kinds of neat things happen. If it's beings involved or what it is, but we see it all the time and it's nothing to be afraid of. We laugh at it. So it seems that when you delve into this phenomenon, the ET phenomenon, there's lots of stuff around it, lots. When you're doing a skywatch and you do a meditation, they will call it CE5 protocols. But it's been our experience, you don't have to call it anything. Any kind of an intention where the group want to make contact, you relax yourself, we like to just kind of protect ourselves with white light just in case there might be something negative. I mean, I've never had any experience with that, and I don't want to have any experience with that. We only want to hook up with benevolent, higher things. But that's the typical process. Different groups around the world have different beliefs, but in our experience, it really comes down to intention. We always like to have at least 2 people. So you can share the experience, you can talk about it afterwards and validate and verify that yes, there was an experience. And we also like to be able to photograph and video it in the different modes, in the different light bands, ultraviolet, full spectrum, thermal, infrared, night vision, all these things. That is a typical evening. You set up the equipment, you meet people, set up a circle, get quiet, either do certain protocols or just really get quiet and set up an intention. That's it. Nothing fancy. It doesn't seem to really matter. It's really your intention.